What's up, guys, and welcome back for another Star Citizen video. In this one, I want to be going over hovering and landing massive ships, and we're talking about things that are like the Mole or like the Reclaimer or the Carrack, anything that's really high in mass. I've seen a lot of issues, and in the comment section, people talking about ships like the Reclaimer just dropping like a rock in atmosphere, or like the Mole just dropping in atmosphere, especially at Lorville. So my goal for this video is to show you how to hover these ships, how to properly land these ships, and we'll be using Lorville as a good example because it has a really tough atmosphere for most people. So go ahead and get started here. As you can see, I am currently hovering over Lorville right now in the Reclaimer. So let's look at a few things just to give us a good indication of what's going on here. This box over here is my altitude. As you can see, it is locked. We're about 4,700 meters from the surface, and also we're not moving at all either. Now, here's the important thing about massive ships. Since they have so much mass, they're going to drop like a rock in atmosphere unless you have downward thrust, right? Now, in terms of the Reclaimer, the thrusters, the main engine thrusters, are on the landing gear right here on these legs. The reason I'm able to hover here is because I already have the landing gear down. When you're in like things like the Mole, you need to turn VTOL on. The Reclaimer also has VTOL, but it's kind of confusing. But let me illustrate this. We are currently locked in on hovering. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off, I'm going to bring in the landing gear, and I want to show you what ends up happening here. So we're transitioning. There we go. And now you can start to see we're starting to lose altitude now. Right there. And the reason that's happening is because the thrust is now going towards the back of the ship, not below it, to counteract the mass. Let's go and get the landing gear back out. I'm not thrusting at all. I'm not applying any sort of movement other than the yaw. And there we go. Landing gear is now back down, and it has stabilized our ship. In terms of landing this thing, what I normally do is I usually come in to the spaceport, and I just kind of keep landing gear up and kind of head towards the hangar. Now we're going to get a little bit of altitude here, and what I'm doing is I'm just holding down space, or and it would give me some upward strafe here. Now with the landing gear down, one thing you will notice here, I'm not going to thrust forward at all. If I start to pitch my nose down and start looking at where I'm flying, I'm going to lose altitude. The reason is because now the thrust on this ship is no longer directly beneath the mass, and so gravity is winning here, right? So normally when I'm landing this thing, I'll just kind of like figure out where I need to be roughly, like there, and I'll strafe up without actually strafing forward. You don't have to like, increase. You don't have to like move or hit W or thrust forward, because you're letting gravity kind of do the work for you. And then when you get to a certain altitude, just bring the nose of your ship to the horizon line there, and then make sure you're just level, and then watch. I'm not thrusting at all. I'm not doing anything with the ship. My hands are off the keyboard and mouse. I go back into hover mode. From here, we can actually move forward. We can strafe left and right, and we can yaw. So it doesn't actually matter what direction we come in on our landing pad. We can make those last minute adjustments once we get right over the top of it. Which brings me to my next thing. Whenever I'm landing a big ship, I always set up a external view to help me out. So if you hit F4, which is what I've been using here to switch out to the external view, let's hold down Z, and we're going to rotate the camera right above the ship like this. Now let's hold down F4, and I'm going to hit the down arrow on the keyboard. I'm going to bring it out a little bit. I want to be able to see the whole ship and everything underneath it. This is going to help us actually get in to the hangar door. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in the landing gear to simulate how I normally come in to Teasa Spaceport. Once you land this ship on these cities and stuff, you'll start to realize where like the big hangars are for them. Our speed limiter doesn't have to be anything crazy high right here. We are using upward strafe to kind of help us, and we're just kind of like cruising right here towards the spaceport. Let's go and hit Alt and N to call landing services. Alright, there's our landing pad. And as you can see, it's going to start opening for us. Zoom in a little bit. There you go. We're kind of right on it. It doesn't matter which direction we come in on this, as long as we kind of aim for the top of it. Now, I usually try to put the nose of this ship towards one of the ends of the hangar here. Now you see we're losing some altitude. So at about this altitude, we can just lower our landing gear to make sure that that's all ready to go. It's going to slow down our descent a little bit. We're going to keep using upstrafe, and then now we're getting pretty close to the ground, so let's go and bring our nose up to the horizon line. We can use shift to space brake to speed up our descent, or to slow down our descent rather. And there you go. Now we're hovering again. We know the pad is directly in front of us. So let's go and switch to our external view here. And from here, we don't have to worry about pitching our nose up or down, but we can manipulate our left and right strafe, which is your A and D key, to strafe left or right, and then we can yaw as long as you don't lose focus there. So we're moving forward. You can hit shape to come down to a complete stop if you need to, and then once we start getting really close to the pad, I like to come down to like a complete stop for the most part, as you can see right here. Hold down shift to just bring it all the way down. We're still pointed at the horizon. We're level, perpendicular to the ground, and now we can just kind of come on in. Use our yaw to just kind of square ourselves up. It doesn't matter if you come in on the side. Once you get to this point, you can literally just orientate yourself where you need to be. You can also bring down your speed as well if you want. Go and hit D a little bit. We'll strafe right, and then we're just going to hold down control and just come straight down into the pad. This is how you get big ships to hover, is by knowing that the ship is very, very massive, and you have to utilize that downward thrust on your engines and keep your ship parallel to the ground. Get that nose pointed at the horizon line, and you will stabilize, and you'll be able to land this thing without issue every time, no matter where you're at. Hopefully I cleared a lot of things up in this video in terms of how to land these big boys. And if you like the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for more Star Citizen content, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.